People always ask what separates Supercross from every other motorsport. It's not the speed, it's not the jumps. It's the fact that these guys are doing all of it inside a football stadium, 20 feet from the crowd with nowhere to go when it goes wrong. 40 riders, one track, inches between glory and disaster. And trust me, it goes wrong. This is what calculated aggression looks like. Not panic, not desperation, a cold, deliberate choice made at 30 miles an hour. And it didn't come out of nowhere either. Kitchen and Deegan had history. These two had been at each other before, and everyone in the paddock knew it was only a matter of time before it boiled over on track. Kitchen didn't react to what Deegan did. He planned it. You can see him setting up the inside line 3-4 bike lengths before the corner even begins. He dove deeper than anyone would normally dare, carrying just enough momentum to clear the chewed up ruts that kill your speed on that part of the track. His front tire hooks into Deegan's line, and that's all she wrote. This is the classic stopping block. You don't have to be faster. You just have to get there first and make it impossible for them to continue. Deegan was fully committed. Body weight forward, no room to adjust. There was no corner left for him to use. Both riders hit the ground, but Kitchen walked away from that with the point made. Whatever bad blood existed between these two, he just put it on display for the entire sport to see. The SMX Finals is not a regular race night. Every position, every decision carries championship weight. And in that kind of pressure, half a foot of track can end someone's entire season. Shimoda was running clean, holding his lines. Deegan was right behind him, studying him, waiting. Then Shimoda drifted slightly wide through a slow corner, barely noticeable, maybe half a foot. But when you've been locked onto someone for 3 laps, half a foot looks like a highway. Deegan lunged, fully committed, front wheel aimed at the gap. The problem was that by the time he arrived, Shimoda had already connected and come back to his line. The space was gone. The impact was unavoidable, and both riders went down hard, handing Seth Hammaker the lead and the win without him having to do a single thing to earn it. Shimoda remounted. Deegan walked off clutching his collarbone, and with him went his entire championship. Not just the race, not just the night, the championship. And with it, $500,000 in prize money gone in one corner, one gap that wasn't really there. Eli Tomac had that race clean. He had done the work, managed the track, managed his pace, and was close enough to the finish line that you could almost call it done. Behind him, Musquin had spent the entire race chipping away, and with the finish line in sight, he was close enough to do something desperate. He didn't just take the inside line. He used his bike as a battering ram. He came in with far more speed than the situation required and drove directly into the side of Tomac's Kawasaki. Not a nudge, a full committed slam. Tomac hit the dirt with the finish line right there in front of him. He could see it. He had won the race on merit, on pace, on clean laps, and he was taken out of it with the end in sight. Tomac picked up his bike and crossed the line in second. That disbelieving thumbs up he gave said everything words couldn't. This moment still divides the paddock. Half the sports call it elite instinct. The other half calls it a dirty takeout. The debate has never closed. If you know Jason Anderson, you already know what kind of racer he is. He doesn't leave room. He doesn't make things comfortable. El Hombre races like every corner is the last one that matters. At Anaheim 2, he had Roczen in his sights. They came into a long right-hand sweeping corner through the sand, and Roczen chose a wider, faster lane around the outside. Correct choice on paper. That line carries more speed and sets you up for the clean exit. But Anderson wasn't interested in what that line gave Roczen. He drove deep into the inside and at the corner exit, where Roczen needed to come back to complete his arc. Anderson was already sitting in that space with no intention of moving. Roczen was pushed wide, then off the track, then down. Anderson was 3 corners gone before Roczen even got to his feet. The commentators call it a racing incident. Roczen, sitting in the dirt watching his race disappear, almost certainly had a different opinion. Opening laps are a completely different category of dangerous. Nobody has found their rhythm, track position feels like everything, and riders take risks they would never take 10 laps in. Plessinger was leading the race and had committed to the outside line to set himself up perfectly for the triple ahead. It was the right call. Clean, deliberate, exactly where he needed to be. Behind him, Webb was in a battle with Prado and doing everything he could to keep him behind. He dove hard to the inside, but he was looking back over his shoulder at Prado the whole time, focused entirely on the threat behind him. By the time he turned his head forward, Plessinger was right there. He had completely misjudged how close he was, and there was nothing he could do. He drove straight into Plessinger and took them both out. Two riders, both running at the front, both gone in the same moment. Webb didn't make a dirty move. He made a human one. He looked the wrong way for 1 second, and it cost both of them the race. That's just what happens when everything moves this fast and you take your eyes off what's in front of you. A championship round changes everything about how a rider calculates risk. Hampshire walked into Salt Lake City knowing he needed to get past Hammaker, and not carefully, he needed to force it. Coming through a tight bowl turn, he squared up the corner and rammed directly into the side of Hammaker's Kawasaki. It's an aggressive move that occasionally works when the gap is there. This time, it wasn't. And instead of riding away with the lead, Hampshire went down just as hard as the man he hit. Both of them scrambling in the dirt while the race carried on without them. Hampshire didn't win the race, but more painfully, he handed Tom Vile the championship. Not the race win, the championship. The points swung so dramatically in that single corner that what had been a genuine title fight was effectively settled right there in the dirt. Vile didn't need to do anything extraordinary that day. Hampshire did it for him. Win it or wear it. He wore it. Riders launch jumps side by side all the time. The unspoken agreement is that your lines diverge in the air, that you each hold your trajectory and come back to earth on your own piece of track. Lawrence got loose off the lip and his arc began drifting into Faulkner's path. At the very highest point of the jump, furthest from the ground, most completely helpless, they hit. There's nothing either rider could do from that moment. No brakes, no steering, no way to protect yourself. You're a passenger until you land. Faulkner hit the ground with serious force and stayed down. The stadium went quiet in the way it only does when people stop watching a race and start hoping. He did get up, but that crash lives in the back of every rider's mind, whether they admit it or not. The air is not safe. Between the face and the landing, you're entirely at the mercy of physics. Everything in this video exists in a space where the consequences are serious but survivable. Riders crash, riders get back up. Riders come back next weekend. This one is different. Webb had put a hard block pass on Roczen earlier in the race, left some paint behind. Roczen absorbed it and waited. Then he came back hot to the inside, looking to return exactly what he'd been given. These moves happen constantly in Supercross. Usually, someone goes down and gets back up angry. As Roczen slid his rear end into the corner, the bike kicked wide. His arm got sucked directly into the gap between the swing arm and the spinning rear tire. That is what shredded his race jersey. That is what destroyed his arm. It wasn't a simple crash he could walk away from. He was out for months. This was a revenge move that cost him far more than whatever Webb had taken from him. That's the final lesson every clip in this video points back to. The block passes, the takeouts, the desperation moves, they all carry a price. Most of the time, that price is a race or a championship night. Sometimes, it's something you can't go back and do differently. Supercross doesn't slow down. Every weekend there's a new gate drop, a new championship fight, a new moment where someone decides the inside is worth everything. Subscribe so you're here when it happens, and drop the most savage moment from this video in the comments. Let's see which one hit the hardest.